Welcome back to Essentials Explained. If you came from our previous video, we'll be continuing our analysis on Countifs and understanding the customer trends within Lee's Painting Company. If you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, let's dive into the content. So we actually now want to understand how many customers do we have, because we have orders, we have revenue, we have average order size, but it would be pretty helpful to know whether or not this business has more customers than it used to have or it has less. It's a pretty good indicator to tell the momentum of a business and whether or not it's an attractive business. I'm going to use this with my pivot table. So if I go down here to my pivot table, show field list, to pop that back up, I'm going to drag date onto my columns. I'm going to drag owner underneath my rows to give myself a subcategory. And then I'm going to just drag revenue into the value section. So we can see here we have our format. I think this is in a compact form. I want to show this in a tabular form. I don't want subtotals because I want everything stacked up, and then I want to repeat all item labels. So let's take a look at what we have here. I have 44 different rows, which are each of my unique owners. So Excel has taken the 100 different stores and just showed me the unique owners. Each one of these are different years. So if I want to understand what is the number of customers I have, I'll just insert a couple additional columns and I will highlight this so I can recreate it. I'll clear this, Alt-HEA will clear everything. I'm just going to make this column small, Alt-HOW2 will make that pretty small. And then I can just select this section and Control-C, copy, and then paste special, Control-Alt-VW will update your column width. So if you want to update your widths pretty easily, it's probably the easiest way to do it. And so again, if I wanted to, maybe make this column width 8, maybe make it a little bit tighter, I can copy, Control-C, go across, and then paste special, Control-V, W will give you column widths, and you can make this a little bit tighter. But again, up to you how you want to do it. Now that we have a couple other sections, I can go up here and I can say customers. So let me use a Countifs to identify if customers are a purchaser in a current period. So what I want to do is Countifs on the ownership category. I will lock that in place. I will select my criteria, which is corporate, lock that in its column, and select my next criteria range, which is my data. And so with this, I'm going to lock this data in its rows because I don't want the rows to change, but I want to keep the columns flexible so I can drag it to the right. What is my criteria? I want this value to be greater than 0. I am saying that only customers that have a revenue value over 0 are customers in that year. Some people may treat this differently. Not everyone is going to treat this exactly alike, but I think this is probably the easiest way to treat it. So I did this for 2020, 2021. 2022 in our pivot table will be that partial year again, right? So what I'm actually going to do is just copy this, paste it over here, remove my date and years section, and then I'm just going to paste in my LTM column. And what I want to know is, did you have sales in the LTM period? So I can actually just use this LTM column to do a different lookup. And so if I go back and Countifs, criteria range 1, this is our ownership category. Highlight, lock in place, select your ownership category criteria, lock in its column. Next, I want my criteria range, which is there positive revenue here? So if I highlight my sheet again, I can lock that in place, and then I can indicate greater than 0. I will close that, and then I can drag this down and see how many customers. So pretty sticky business. Seems like all your large franchisees have stuck around. Corporate obviously hasn't changed, and you've only lost one small franchisee, which is pretty great retention for a business. I want to update this to be the revenue divided by the number of customers. So what this will tell me is, and then that's going to be too big. So maybe I want to just change this to, let's get rid of the decimals and we'll make this thousands. And I'm just going to do that for my negatives as well, which I don't think there are any negatives, but just to make my life simple. And so you can see pretty easily you have different customer sizes. Let me change this header and let's do customer size, and that will all update. So it doesn't really make sense to use named ranges or indirects here, so I'm actually just going to copy this and paste it down in these two other sections. I want to fix my column width, so I'll select this selection, Control C to copy, Control Alt V to paste, Special W to paste column widths, so that will let me see my column widths. One quick trick here, love to give you guys little bonus tricks. You see these all get messed up, you can drag these across, that's pretty easy, just highlight that selection. So last thing we want to do, maybe we want to check, make sure this customer number is right. Bonus trick on how to do that. So easiest way to do this will be with pivot table. Go back to our working data, Alt NVT. What we're going to do here is one, put this on our existing worksheet. So I'm just going to paste this down here, and then I'll add this data to the data model. What this will do is this will actually enable us to do a distinct count. So we'll save this range, and what I can do is drag in my date onto my columns, and then I can drag in owner into my values. And if I go to value field settings, I can go down and use distinct count. And so if I go in and look at my different years, I have 44, 43, so that's 2022. If I really wanted to double check this, I could remove all my different dates and bring in my LTM. So if I do that, I drag in my LTM, and you have 43 in the LTM period where you had 44 in your years, right? So that's a quick way to check that and ensure that you have set this up correctly. I'm just going to zoom in, make sure this is probably needs to be a little bit bigger. Alt-H-O-W, maybe make this 9, and I'll get rid of the decimals here. Great. I think this sheet looks pretty good. I would obviously drag this separator up. So what you could do is you could either just drag that up with your mouse, which is probably a little bit easier. The other way you could do it is select the last cell you want, highlight, and do Alt PRS, which will set the print area. Because what you're really doing here is setting the print area, but it does a good job kind of hiding your derivative tables and what you're using for your lookups. If you're interested in learning more about how to bucket continuous numeric variables, please check out the next video in our series linked here. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment any feedback below.